Welcome to part 2. If you're still with me, I kind of applaud you, because you're sitting through that many minutes of my rambling on about fluff and silly things and gesticulating wildly. Right, so, on to the spinning. First thing I'm going to show you in part 2 is this little skein. This is about 76 yards, and this is the only one that I think I know the yardage off the top of my head for, so this is the only one you'll get to know the yardage for. It's of an unknown wool blend. I got it at Rhinebeck last year. In a set from Deli's Delights Farm, and this is one of the ones that I hand carded. I believe I took a bunch of different greens and carded them all together and then spun them up into this 2-ply. It's probably a worsted weight, DK to worsted, and I call it Godzilla Loves Ultraman, because that's what we were watching a ton of while I was spinning this, was Ultraman. It's currently up for bids at the Help Haiti Live Journal community, where you can bid to win this gorgeous skein of yarn by bidding to donate money to relief efforts. So I will put a link down in the doobly-doo so you can see if you are interested in it. It's also up on my Ravelry. So there we go, 76 yards of that. The next yarn I'm going to show you is an experimental kind of art yarn that I spun. A friend of mine online, Gnome Napper, did this awesome slub art yarn type thing, and I had to try it because she's cool and I want to be cool like her. So I didn't really pre-draft this green and white, and I spun it up as a really slubby, uneven kind of single, and then I plied it up with black and white thread. And as you can see, it's kind of puffy and uneven, but kind of neat. It's got kind of like I don't know how to say it, boucle, that kind of yarn. Someone will know and let me know, I'm sure. So I call it Hufflepuff's Dream of Slytherin, because we all know that they do. The next yarn that I'm going to show you is this pretty BFL, that's Blackface Leicester, hopefully. I've got that right. I think I do. It's a breed of sheep, and that's what the roving was. It came to me from a friend of my mother's, Kathy Moore, who gave me a ton of beautiful roving and things after she found out that I was a spinner, because she's been a spinner for years. It wasn't drafting really easily, so when I decided to spin this, I actually carded the whole thing. So it was a kind of a mottled blue and a white in patches, but when I carded it together, it blended a little bit more, so you get a little bit of that white in there, but it's mostly overall this kind of tealy blue, which the colors are not perfect. It looks a lot greener in here, but it's more of a nice ocean-y type color. And there's about 200 yards of this, and this one's probably a DK weight, which is what I tend to turn out a lot of, is worsted to DK on my wheel, probably because of the ratios that I'm spinning on. So at some point I'll switch to that smaller ratio and try and come up with some different weights. But I'm pretty happy with what I'm turning out so far. The next one I'm going to show you is this one right here, which was mill ends scraps of merino roving that I bought at, I think it was the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival, for a really good deal. They were really cheap. They were all bits and ends. Apparently when you put any kind of roving through the machine, it can't quite use the ends or something, she was telling me. So it was, 7-8 inch sections of bits that they couldn't put through the machines, and so they were just selling them as scraps. So I bought 8 ounces or so of them, and I hand dyed them with Kool-Aid. Katie did some of them too. She did the purple here. We dyed with Kool-Aid, and then I carded them all up together, and I spun them into this deliciously soft merino. It's got pink and orange and purple and red, and it looks really cool, and I'm kind of thinking maybe I'll do a shawl with it, or like a shawlette. I'm not sure, but I'm in kind of a shawl kick lately, so probably everything that I want to make will be shawls for the next indefinite period. So, Kool-Aid Merino. The last subpart of the first spinning section is this that I want to show you, which I spun for a class in the House Cup, and I can't remember which, but it was the light and airy one that I think they had in July. This is a lace weight. Some parts of it are in the light fingering kind of area. It's not the thread lace weight, but it's pretty darn slim. And it is 50% Romney and 50% mohair, and it's got this gorgeous shine on it, which you really can't quite see in here, but it's shiny. It looks very silky, very pretty. And it's purple and blue, and it's quite nice. I got it from Hilltop Handspun. The one concern I have with this one is that lots and lots and lots of blue wash out in all the rinses. I rinsed it 2 or 3 times when I was setting the twist for it, and I still had very blue rinse water. So I decided I'm just going to knit with it eventually, and then I'll do some soaks and things like that when I've finished knitting whatever it is I'm knitting, and we're going to hope that it comes out and doesn't turn whoever's wearing it into a Smurf, which would be funny, but not generally the goal of knitwear. Part 3 of my video is actually still sort of spinning, but I felt like it deserved its own part, because part 3 is spinning from the fleece that I had just bought back in May when I did my last video, and I showed you in the bucket right here as a great big fleece, which I did for my potions owl, and I actually completed. I had to process at least a pound of it, wash and scour, and I washed and scoured the entire 2.5 pounds of it, and then I had to card or prep at least some ounces. I forget how many ounces. 2? Might have been 2. Well, anyway, I carded the entire thing. So, the roll legs are falling out. So as you can see, I have finished all of it. It's all carded up into little roll legs like these, which you can use as mustaches or spin from, as most people tend to do. So I've carded up the entire thing, and I have spun 1, 2, 3, 3 skeins of Shetland right here. There are about 500 yards so far, I think. 2 of these are about 200 yards, and the other one's 101. So the spinning comes along great, and this is what it looks like all spun up. You can kind of really see the light and the dark. Well, they're not really, it's not really dark, but you can really kind of see how it's a little bit heathered, I guess I would call that, sort of. And it's nice and squishy. It's not probably up against the skin, although it's not too bad. I'm thinking a shawl for this when I finish spinning it all, but I'm going to spin all of it, the entire thing, before I start knitting with it, because that's my plan. But that's what I really wanted to show you, is because I told you the last time that I was going to show you more about that, and then I didn't for months and months. But this is what I was working on, and I have now got 3 skeins of it. And more to come, because I've got that great big bin that you saw that I dumped partway all over the floor. Go me. Of more to spin. So that's it. That's for my video this week. More spinning next time, which I will try not to be 3 months in the future. No guarantees, though. I'm kind of bad about that. So, spinning, knitting, yay! Maybe the next time I do a video, you'll actually get to see the lace shawl all finished. Or maybe the spinning all finished. Don't get your hopes up, though. That's all for me. More fibery fun next time. Thank you for paying attention and watching, and you should all have a cookie or a nice long lie down, whichever you feel is more appropriate at this point. We'll see you next time.